What would you do if the thing you poured your heart into became the thing they used to break it? Some talents bloom in silence, far from spotlights and applause, hidden in midnight hours when the world isn't watching. Grace. Vincent stares at her. Reflection. Not in a mirror, but in the shimmering fabric draped across her bed. A dress she's been crafting for 3 months, stitch by patient stitch. Her fingers trace the delicate embroidery, each thread a quiet testament to the artistry no one sees. The local fashion program at Highland Academy, her one chance to escape. The small town that shrinks around her, a little more each day. Grace's bedroom walls plastered with sketches, magazine cutouts, dreams pinned like butterflies captured, but still vibrant, still alive. Her mother's sewing machine, ancient and temperamental, hums beneath her touch, a language only they understand, not wealthy enough for designer labels, not connected enough for industry introductions, but talented enough to create beauty from nothing. If only someone would notice. Tomorrow, the Academy hosts its annual showcase, where industry scouts select one student for a coveted internship in New York, a golden ticket out. She lifts the dress, holds it against her body. Moonlight catching the subtle beadwork. 3 months of lunch breaks spent hunched over needles. Weekends sacrificed to pattern making. Nights surrendered to the rhythm of creation. Perfect, almost perfect Leo. Griffin strides through Highland Academies. Hall's designer suit cutting a sharp silhouette. Former graduate turned celebrity stylist, this year's guest judge. His word is gospel. His approval currency more valuable than money. Students part before him, like water around a gleaming stone. His assistant, Noah Holland, scurrying behind clipboard, clutched to chest, documenting every dismissive gesture, every pursed lip judgment. The Academy director, Lillian Turner, hovers, desperately ensuring everything meets his standards. His return a coup for their modest program, a favor called in after years of networking. His presence both blessing and terror. In the sewing lab, 17 students make final adjustments to their showcase pieces, expensive fabrics imported from Europe. Technical perfection, their minimum standard connections. Their true advantage. Leo moves between workstations, offering cryptic feedback, bestowing rare nods of approval to daughters and sons of people who matter, people with influence, people who belong. Camilla Russell watches. From her station, third-generation fashion royalty, her grandfather's name on boutiques worldwide, her own position in the program, a formality. A stepping stone already arranged. She notices Grace entering, carrying a garment bag, like it contains something fragile, something precious. Leo's eyes narrow, a predator sensing weakness, something about the girl's hopeful expression, her clear outsider status, awakens something in him. The room falls silent as Grace hangs her creation among the polished collection. Her handmade dress, suddenly vulnerable in this elegant company. Camilla's perfect mouth curves, a smile sharp as scissors, a whisper to her circle. Soft laughter rippling outward. Grace feels it, the shift in atmosphere, but squares her shoulders, smooths the fabric one last time. The Academy's caretaker, William Hawkins, pauses while replacing a bulb, notes the scene unfolding. The hungry eyes circling the newcomer, his weathered face revealing nothing. Leo Griffin approaches, Grace's dress, designer glasses, lowered fingertips barely touching the material, as if contamination were possible. That's handmade, isn't it? Not a question. An accusation. Grace nods. Pride and uncertainty warring in her expression. Interesting choice. In a competitive showcase, to bring something so. He pauses, savoring the moment. Every student hanging on his judgment, quaint. The word drops like a stone. In the silent room, somewhere in the faculty offices, Sylvester Stallone, the Academy's reclusive master tailor, hears the distant laughter. Looks up from his work, calloused hands going still. The showcase begins tomorrow, but the real competition has already started. Grace stands frozen. Leo Griffin's assessment, echoing quaint. The word clings to her like perfume, unwanted and impossible to ignore. She manages a polite nod, retreats to the farthest workstation, feels Camilla's triumphant gaze. Following her retreat, the other students return to their work, but something has changed. The air charged with anticipation, blood in the water. Camilla approaches. Leo voice pitched to carry just the right volume. To ensure everyone hears, I was concerned about including handmade pieces. In a professional showcase, feels a bit county fair, don't you think? Leo's laugh encourages her. The validation immediate. You have exceptional instincts, a natural eye for quality. Your grandfather would be proud. Grace hunches over her station needle and thread, suddenly clumsy in her fingers. The confidence of months unraveling, with each whispered comment, each pointed glance. The morning stretches endlessly. Every eye seems to find the flaws she hadn't seen before. Every voice seems to carry judgment. She can't escape. A thread comes loose. On her bodice, a tiny imperfection. But now it feels like failure, a visible confirmation of everything they're saying. Lillian Turner sweeps through the room, clipboard in hand, final preparations for tomorrow's showcase. Her gaze skips over. Grace lingers. On Camilla, the program director knows where the power lies, where the donations come from, which families matter. She pauses at Grace's station, eyes the dress with practiced neutrality. This is interesting, but perhaps not what our judges expect. Perhaps something more conventional would serve you better. Translation. Know your place. Grace swallows hard. No, ma'am, this is my submission. Lillian's smile tightens. Well, we all make choices. Don't we? The director moves on, leaving Grace's confidence in tatters. In the back of the room, William continues his work, replacing light fixtures, fixing a stubborn drawer, his presence barely registered, yet he sees everything, the hierarchy, the alliances. The isolation. At lunch, the students gather in groups. Grace sits alone, sketching modifications in her notebook, trying to salvage her vision. While doubt gnaws at her resolve, Camilla's laughter carries across the cafeteria, holding court at the center. Table. Leo Griffin joining them, basking in their admiration, sharing industry gossip, names dropped like diamonds. A shadow falls across Grace's notebook. She looks up, expecting another critique, another dismissal. Instead, Olivia Barnes stands there, holding her lunch tray, quiet determination in her eyes. Mind if I sit? Before Grace can answer, Camilla calls across the room. Olivia, we're discussing Milan. You don't want to miss this. Olivia hesitates a moment of decision, glances at Grace's sketches, then at Camilla's expectant face. I'll be there in a minute. The moment passes, connection broken. Before it formed, Grace alone again. The afternoon brings technical reviews, each student meeting privately with Leo to discuss their showcase pieces. Final guidance. Before tomorrow's judgment, Grace waits her turn, heart hammering against her ribs, clutching her portfolio. The pages dog-eared from constant revision through the office window. She watches Leo charm and flatter, the privileged students, his body language, changing with each exit, warm, then cold, engaged, then bored, a performance tailored to each audience. When Camilla emerges, their laughter spills into the hallway, an inside joke, a promised introduction, a future already being written, then Grace's name, called the moment arrives. In Leo's temporary office, her dress hangs isolated away from the others, as if it might contaminate them. Let's discuss your concept. His voice drips with condescension, eyes never meeting hers, focused on his phone, messages more important than her. Future Grace explains her inspiration, the vintage techniques, the sustainable materials. The hundreds of hours Leo interrupts, holding up one hand. The industry has standards, expectations, a language spoken by professionals. This speaks another language entirely, but I thought fashion was about innovation, and he cuts her off again. Voice harder now, the charming mentor mask slipping, innovation from the right people with the right background, the right connections, his meaning clear. Not you, never you. In the maintenance closet down the hall, William Hawkins organizes supplies, door cracked open, overhearing everything. His weathered hands pause on a dusty wooden box, shoved behind cleaning products. Something forgotten. Something. Important. Grace leaves the office, vision blurred, portfolio clutched to chest, her dream unraveling thread by thread. That's when she sees it. Pinned to the showcase bulletin board, a photo of her dress with a caption scrawled beneath, "Before showcase." Disaster, Camilla's perfect handwriting, surrounded by student signatures, approval, anticipation, amusement at her expense. The showcase is tomorrow, but Grace's defeat is already being celebrated. The photo remains on the bulletin board all afternoon. Students pausing to laugh, add comments, take pictures with their phones. Grace tries to remove it, but Lillian Turner intervenes. Smooth voice, laced with warning, we encourage creative expression, even humor, especially from our top students. The message. All clear. Some people have protection. Grace is not among them. William Hawkins approaches with his cart, cleaning supplies rattling, his presence barely acknowledged. The invisible man who keeps the academy running. He pauses at the bulletin board notes. The photo, Grace's humiliation on public display. His expression unreadable. Need to clean this area. Excuse me. Students scatter before his mop. The caretaker efficiently removes the photo while wiping down the board. A small mercy, performed without. Comment in the sewing lab. Grace works frantically, trying to elevate her creation, make it professional enough, worthy enough, though the definition keeps shifting. Beyond her reach, across the room, Camilla holds court, her circle of admirers growing. As Leo Griffin shares industry stories, each one underlining the same message: fashion is for the chosen few, the connected, the wealthy, the born to belong. They glance at Grace occasionally, their amusement barely concealed, her struggles a form of entertainment. During afternoon break, the sabotage begins, a spilled coffee on her sketches, an accidental bump that sends her box of special beads scattering across the floor, a cutting remark about craft fair aesthetics, just loud enough to ensure she hears. Grace bends to gather her beads one by one, dignity intact. Though her hands tremble slightly, Olivia Barnes kneels to help, a quiet act of kindness, until Camilla calls her name. Sharp and commanding, we're heading to the fabric store Leo's giving. Personal recommendations. Coming, Olivia hesitates, torn between kindness and opportunity, whispers a quick sorry, before hurrying away. Grace left alone again, on her knees, collecting scattered pieces of her ambition throughout the day. The pressure mounts. Whispers follow her through hallways, social media notifications ping, her dress becoming a meme among students. Showcase disaster, trending in their small circle. Lillian Turner watches, does nothing, her loyalty to powerful families outweighing her duty to all students. By late afternoon, Grace retreats to the bathroom, locks herself in a stall, presses her forehead against cool metal, breathes through the tightness in her chest. The door opens. Familiar voices enter. Camilla and her friends. Unaware of Grace's presence, Leo says her dress looks like a costume from a community theater production. Laughter bounces off tile walls. My father says the scholarship students should just accept their limitations. Not everyone belongs in fashion. Grace sits, imperfectly still, every word a blade, slicing through her remaining confidence. When they finally leave, she emerges, meets her own reflection, eyes red-rimmed but dry. No more tears to give them. In the empty hallway, William Hawkins polishes the display. Cases housing past showcase winners, their glory preserved behind glass, names that launched successful careers, faces smiling with certainty. He notices Grace passing, head-down portfolio clutched like armor Miss Vincent. His voice stops her, surprising. Them both, the showcase, it's not always what it seems. She nods politely, unsure of his meaning, continues walking, the weight of tomorrow's humiliation already bending her shoulders. In the faculty wing, Sylvester Stallone works alone, bent over ancient fabric, restoring something hidden from view, his concentration absolute, until a knock interrupts. William Hawkins enters, carefully closes the door, speaks in hushed tones. "I found something you should see." About the Vincent girl. Sylvester looks up, interest flickering in his eyes, as William explains what he's witnessed, the systematic cruelty, the faculty's complicity, the rigged game. "And I found this in the storage room." William places the dusty wooden box on Sylvester's workbench, the master tailor's. Expression changes, recognition, then something deeper, more complex. "How long has this been here?" William shrugs. "Years, maybe I only noticed it today." When I heard them tearing her down, Sylvester opens the box carefully. What he sees inside makes him absolutely still. "Keep this between us for now." The caretaker nods, a silent alliance formed. Night falls on Highland Academy, most students gone, but in the sewing lab, Grace works by single light, remaking sections of her dress, tears falling on fabric. But her fingers steady, determined. The showcase is tomorrow, her dream balanced on a knife's edge, but she refuses to quit, even as doubt whispers that some worlds will never make space for girls like her. 3 a.m., the academy building silent and dark, except for one pool of light. In the otherwise empty sewing lab, Grace hunches over her dress, eyes burning from exhaustion, fingers pricked and bandaged, but still moving, still creating. She's remade the bodice twice, altered the hemline, added intricate beadwork, following Leo Griffin's contradictory feedback, trying to transform her creation into something they might accept. Her phone screen lights up. Messages from her mother. "Coming home soon. Everything okay? Should I be worried?" Grace types a quick reassurance, "Just finishing touches. Be home soon. Everything's fine." The lie sits heavy. Nothing is fine. But how to explain that her dream is unraveling? That the world she aspired to enter has already judged her unworthy? She holds up the dress. The change is obvious only to her. Will it be enough? The question haunts every stitch. The janitor's closet light flickers on William, beginning his pre-dawn routine. His footsteps echo through empty hallways, the building's only other occupant. He pauses. At the sewing lab door, observes Grace's solitary struggle, recognizes the determination, the refusal to surrender. Despite everything, he enters quietly, begins emptying trash bins, his presence acknowledged with a tired nod. "You're here early." His observation, gentle, free from judgment, or late, depending how you look at it. Grace manages a small smile, returns to her work. William moves methodically around the room, creating order from the day's chaos, noticing the scattered evidence of petty cruelties. Thread snips on her chair. A missing bobbin pins removed from her station. "You know, I've been here 27 years, seen a lot of showcases. A lot of students come and go." Grace looks up, surprised by the conversation. From the usually silent caretaker, "The ones who work hardest aren't always the ones who win, but they're the ones I remember." He straightens a row of sewing machines, aligns them with careful precision, fashions a strange business, more about who you know than what you can do, always been. That way, Grace's hands go still. Then why try at all? The question escapes before she can stop it. Vulnerability she can't afford, but exhaustion has lowered her defenses. William considers her question, takes his time answering because occasionally someone breaks through, changes. The rules makes them notice real talent. He moves toward the door. Pauses, Mr. Stallone starts his day early, usually in the East workroom by 5. The information offered without explanation, without pressure. Grace nods, unsure of its significance, returns to her desperate alterations as William continues his rounds. Dawn breaks. Over Highland Academy, golden light filtering through tall windows, Grace finally heads home to shower and change. 3 hours before the showcase begins. The dress carefully packed, different now, better maybe, but doubt clings to every modification, every compromise. As she leaves, she notices the East workroom light spilling from beneath the door, remembers William's words, hesitates. Through the small window, she glimpses Sylvester Stallone, the Academy's reclusive master tailor, rarely seen at student events. His reputation legendary, but his presence minimal. He bends over ancient fabric, hands moving with practiced precision, complete focus in his expression. A craftsman in his element. Grace watches for a moment, drawn to his obvious mastery, the peace in his concentration, something familiar there, something she recognizes. Then fatigue overwhelms her, the confrontation with Leo Griffin, only hours away. She needs rest, needs clarity, needs courage. At home, her mother waits, coffee already brewing. Concern etched in the lines around her eyes. You look exhausted. Grace manages a weak smile, just nervous about today. Her mother studies her face, reads the truth beneath the words. What happened? The simple question breaks something in Grace. The story spills out between sips of coffee, between tears she can no longer hold back. The ridicule, the sabotage, the clear message that people like her don't belong in their world. Her mother listens, anger and helplessness, battling in her expression. You can withdraw. There will be other opportunities. Grace shakes her head. If I quit. Now they win. They're right about me. Her mother recognizes the stubborn determination, a trait passed down through generations of women who refuse to stay in assigned places. Then you go and you hold your head high, no matter what happens. She squeezes. Grace's hand calluses, meeting calluses, working hands, creating hands. Before we continue, comment where you're watching from. Meanwhile, at Highland Academy, Sylvester Stallone examines the contents of the wooden box William discovered. Inside, yellowed newspaper clippings, photographs, a collection of designs, and at the bottom, something that makes his hands tremble slightly. Closes the box, makes a decision, places a call to an old friend. The showcase begins in hours, but another plan is forming, one that depends on timing, on courage, on truth, long buried. The question isn't whether Grace's dress will be good enough, but whether the fashion world is ready to face its own reflection. Showcase day arrives, Highland Academy transformed. The main hall converted to a runway, chairs arranged for industry elites, photographers setting up equipment, anticipation humming in. The air backstage, chaos reigns, students making final adjustments, makeup artists working frantically, Lillian Turner orchestrating every detail. Her smile fixed and desperate. Leo Griffin holds court in the VIP section, industry contacts arriving air. Kisses exchanged, Camilla's parents among them, their family name opening doors, other students' parents relegated to back rows, the hierarchy on full display. Grace arrives, dark circles concealed beneath makeup, dress bag held carefully, her mother beside. Her moral support in hostile territory. Camilla spots her, whispers something to her circle, their laughter carrying across the room, a preview of what's to come. Grace finds her assigned station, the smallest, farthest from the main preparation area. Another subtle message about her place. Her mother helps unpack the dress, gasps softly at the changes, the evidence of all-night labor. It's beautiful. No matter what they say, Grace nods, can't trust her voice. The weight of the day pressing down, making it hard to breathe. Her mother squeezes her shoulder, must report to the parent section, leaves Grace to face what's coming, armed with nothing but determination. In the hallway outside, William Hawkins observes the arriving crowd, notes the clear divisions, the privileged and the hoping, the established and the dreaming, his expression thoughtful. Sylvester Stallone appears beside him, the wooden box tucked under his arm. Voice low and urgent, "Is everything arranged?" William nods. "Just as you asked, they'll be here." Good. The timing must be perfect. The two men exchange a look, understanding passing between them, before Sylvester disappears into the back corridors, avoiding the gathering crowd. Backstage, the final preparations accelerate. Models assigned to each. Designer professional women and men who make clothes come alive on the runway, their bored expressions changing when they see which student they're representing. Excitement for the connected, barely concealed disappointment for the rest Grace is assigned. Model arrives, looks at the handmade dress, doesn't bother hiding her dismay. "This is what I'm wearing." Grace nods, doubt flooding back. "Is it really that bad?" The model sighs dramatically. "Let's get this over with." Across the preparation area, Leo Griffin conducts final reviews, lavishing praise on Camilla's creation. A technically perfect evening gown, expensive materials, flawless construction, the result of privilege and talent. A combination hard to beat. He moves through the stations, offering adjustments, making predictions to Lillian about future careers, future successes, future failures when he reaches Grace. His assessment is brief, dismissive. "Well, it's certainly unique, not what I expected, but perhaps that's for the best." His words carefully constructed to sound like praise. While conveying the opposite, Grace manages a polite thank you, though inside she's screaming, wanting to defend her creation, explain the vision behind every stitch. But what's the point? His mind was made before he saw it. Lillian announces 30 minutes until the showcase begins, parents and industry guests taking their seats, the runway lights being tested, music selections finalized. Grace uses the bathroom mirror to check her appearance one last time, smooths her hair, straightens her shoulders, rehearses looking unbothered. When the inevitable humiliation comes, in the stall behind her, she hears Camilla's voice, speaking on the phone. "Daddy's arranged everything. Leo's already confirmed I've won," but acts surprised for the cameras. Grace freezes, the confirmation of what she suspected. The game was rigged from the start, her effort pointless, her hope misplaced. She should feel defeated, should walk away now, save herself the public failure. Instead, something hardens inside her, a quiet determination. If she's going to lose, it will be on her terms. With her vision intact, she returns to her station, removes the last-minute alterations, the compromises, made from fear, restores her original design, the one that came from her heart, not from their expectations. Her model returns, notes the changes, raises an eyebrow that actually looks better, more authentic. Grace nods. It is, in the audience. Her mother sits, anxiously recognizes several parents from Camilla's circle, their confident chatter, their casual cruelty, the dismissive glances at scholarship families. The lights dim. Lillian Turner takes the stage, welcomes everyone to the annual showcase, introduces the prestigious judges, emphasizes the career-making opportunity. For one talented student, Leo Griffin joins her, his designer sunglasses reflecting spotlights, his practiced humility on display, as he expresses honor at returning to judge where his own career began. In the wings, William Hawkins checks his watch, nods to someone outside, opens the side door as three figures enter quietly. Take seats in the back row, their presence unannounced, unnoticed by most. The showcase begins, music pulsing. Through speakers, models walking the runway. Each student's creation displayed, professional photography capturing every detail. For portfolios and press, the audience responds predictably, polite applause for most, enthusiastic recognition for the connected. Few, the outcome seemingly predetermined. Backstage, Grace waits her turn, second to last, another calculated slight. Her stomach knotted with tension through the curtain. She watches Camilla's design receive rapturous applause, Leo Griffin's appreciative, not the judge's obvious approval. The path cleared for her victory, then it's Grace's turn, her model giving a final adjustment, offering an unexpected whisper. "I'll make it look amazing. Just breathe." The music changes. The announcer calls her name and her creation steps into the spotlight. From the back of the room, Sylvester Stallone watches intently. The wooden box open on his lap. Its contents finally revealed, a collection of sketches, newspaper clippings, and most importantly, a dress pattern, yellowed with age, but unmistakably familiar. In the design Grace created without ever seeing this pattern, this legacy, this proof. He catches William's eye across the room, nods once, the signal given, the plan set in motion. On the runway, Grace's creation moves under the lights. The handmade quality now its strength, not its weakness, the unique vision, clear, undeniable. But from the judge's table, Leo Griffin's expression remains dismissive. His decision made long before this moment, based on factors having nothing to do with the garment before him. The showcase continues, the final design presented, the judges conferring briefly for appearance's sake. Though the outcome was never in doubt, Lillian Turner returns to the microphone, prepares to announce the winner, the internship that will launch a career, the recognition that will open doors. And as expected, Camilla's name is called, her practice surprise, her gracious acceptance speech, her parents' proud applause. Grace stands quietly backstage, neither surprised nor broken. Something changed during her creation's moment under the lights. A certainty took hold that win or lose, her vision matters, her work has value. Even if they refuse to see it, what she doesn't know is that Sylvester Stallone has risen from his seat, the wooden box in his hands, and that everything is about to change. Camilla accepts her award, crystal trophy, catching the light. Her victory speech, humble on the surface, gracious mentions of competition, while her eyes gleam with entitlement. The natural order maintained. The audience applauds politely. Industry representatives approach her parents. Business cards exchanged, futures negotiated. The real purpose of the showcase, revealed in these quiet transactions. Backstage, Grace packs her dress, careful folds, gentle hands, preserving what matters. Though the judges dismissed it, her mother finds her there, offers a hug, words unnecessary between them, pride and disappointment mingling. Leo Griffin enters the backstage area, surrounded by admirers. His critiques now delivered loudly, for maximum impact, for maximum cruelty. The handmade piece was interesting, in a high school talent show way, but this is fashion, not craft. Our students laugh obediently, even those whose work he similarly dismissed. Grace continues packing, back turned to the performance, refusing to provide the reaction he clearly seeks. This irritates him, pulls him toward her station, voice pitched to carry Miss Vincent. A word of professional advice. She looks up, meets. His gaze directly unexpected confidence that makes him pause momentarily. Some talents are better suited to alterations than creation. Perhaps aim for department store seamstress more. Appropriate for your level. The deliberate cruelty lands like a physical blow, but Grace doesn't flinch, doesn't look away. Thank you for your feedback, Mr. Griffin. Her calm response, clearly not what he wanted. His expression hardens. I'm trying to help you. This industry will eat. You alive? People like you don't make it, the mask slipping, the pretense of mentorship falling away, revealing the ugliness beneath before Grace can respond. Lillian Turner's voice echoes over the speakers, calling everyone back to the main hall for final photographs. For closing remarks, the backstage area empties students and models, returning to the runway, leaving Grace alone. With her carefully packed creation, she should leave now. Slip out quietly, preserve what dignity remains. But something keeps her there. Some instinct she doesn't understand. In the main hall, Lillian Turner handles closing formalities, thanks sponsors, congratulates participants, especially the winner, who stands beaming center stage, the embodiment of success, of belonging. Room quiets for final acknowledgements, when a voice interrupts. From the back of the hall, "Excuse me, I believe there's been an oversight." Heads turn, murmurs ripple through the audience as Sylvester Stallone. The reclusive master tailor walks slowly toward the stage, the wooden box in his hands. Lillian Turner's smile freezes. Leo Griffin straightens, sudden tension in his posture. "Mr. Stallone, this is unexpected. We're just concluding." Sylvester doesn't slow, his purpose evident, his authority clear. Even to those who don't recognize him. "I've been with this academy 35 years. Trained many of you sitting here, including you." Leo, he reaches the stage, places the wooden box on the judge's table, his voice stronger now. Filling the room without effort. Fashion has always been about lineage, about heritage, about who came before and what they leave behind. He opens the box, removes yellowed newspaper clippings, holds them up for the room to see. 40 years ago, a young designer named Elena Vincent submitted this design to the Paris Young Innovator competition. Grace's head snaps up at the name, her grandmother gone 10 years. Now, who taught her first stitches, whose ancient sewing machine she still uses. Sylvester continues, his voice carrying emotion. Long contained, her design was revolutionary, combining traditional techniques with modern silhouettes. The judges praised its vision, its craftsmanship, its originality. He places the clipping on the table, removes a black and white photograph, a young woman standing proudly beside a dress form, displaying a creation, hauntingly familiar. 3 days before, winners were announced. A famous designer debuted his collection, featuring an identical design. When Elena filed a complaint, she was blacklisted. Her career ended before it began. Murmurs spread through the audience. Industry veterans shifting uncomfortably, recognizing the designer's name, the unspoken practices, the stolen ideas, fashion's ugly foundation. Leo Griffin interrupts, voice sharp with alarm. "This is hardly relevant to today's showcase. We should..." Sylvester silences him with a look, continues his revelation. "Elena Vincent was my friend, my colleague. Her talent undeniable, her treatment unforgivable." He turns to the audience eyes, finding Grace. Standing frozen in the back, her granddaughter is here today, presented a design that captures her grandmother's spirit, her innovation, her vision. Without ever seeing the original, Grace moves forward slowly, drawn by his words, by the recognition of her name, by the impossible connection. Sylvester removes one final item from the wooden box. careful hands unfolding aged tissue paper, revealing fabric preserved 4 decades. It's Elena's original design, saved all these years. The evidence of what was stolen, what was lost. The resemblance to Grace's creation is unmistakable. The same innovative seaming, the same balance of structure and flow, the same artistic voice passed through blood, through instinct, through inherited vision. The room falls absolutely silent as Sylvester places the designs side by side. Grandmother and granddaughter, separated by decades, united by creative vision. I've invited guests today who remember Elena's work. He gestures to the back, where 3 elderly figures stand. Former fashion editors, their names still carrying weight, their presence lending credibility. They've confirmed what I already knew: talent doesn't disappear, it transforms, it returns, sometimes through generations. Leo Griffin's face drains of color, recognition dawning. The name Vincent finally registering. Sylvester turns to him directly, voice lowered, but still carrying. In the silent room, you've spent this showcase deliberately humiliating the granddaughter of the woman your mentor stole from, destroyed. All those years ago. The accusation lands precisely, Leo's expression, confirming truth without words. Then Sylvester turns to Grace, standing stunned, the revelation washing over her, connecting pieces of a puzzle she never knew existed. Your grandmother would be proud, not just of your design, but of your courage to create authentically in a world that demands conformity. The audience remains frozen, witnessing a moment of reckoning, of long-delayed justice, of truth breaking through carefully maintained barriers. Lillian Turner attempts recovery, steps forward with professional smile. This is certainly a fascinating historical footnote, but we should return to celebrating today's winner. One of the elderly editors interrupts, voice cracking but authoritative. I was a junior assistant when it happened. I saw Elena's original submission, saw it reappear on that famous runway. Remained silent out of fear. She approaches Grace, takes her hands. Your work today, it's like seeing her again. That same vision, that same voice. Fashion needs that voice. The room erupts in conflicting responses, whispers becoming conversations, becoming debate. Camilla stands abandoned on stage, trophy in hand. Victory suddenly hollow. Leo Griffin attempts retreat, slipping toward the exit, but William Hawkins stands there, arms crossed, blocking the path. Silent judgment in his gaze, in the center of the storm. Grace stands bewildered, the connection to her grandmother, a gift she never expected, understanding now why her hands moved as they did, creating something both new and remembered, both original and inherited. The showcase intended to launch, one career instead exposes fashion's darkest practice, the powerful taking from the powerless, the connected silencing the gifted, the system protecting itself. And in that exposure, something begins to change. The Academy's main hall divides into camps of whispers, industry veterans recognizing names, understanding implications. Younger attendees confused by the sudden shift in atmosphere. Sylvester Stallone stands unwavering, evidence displayed before him, Elena Vincent's original designs, the newspaper clippings, the photographic proof, and most damning, the identical silhouette created by her granddaughter. 4 decades later, Leo Griffin finds his voice, professional survival instincts engaging, damage control beginning. This is preposterous ancient history at best, a coincidence of design at worst, hardly relevant to today's showcase. Sylvester's response comes not in words, but in action. He reaches into the wooden box, removes one final item, a letter, yellowed with age, the signature at the bottom, causing Leo to fall silent. I kept everything, including your mentor's written apology, never published, never revealed. Until now, he offers the letter to Grace. her hands trembling slightly as she takes it. Reads her grandmother's name. The admission of theft, the plea for silence, the financial offer that Elena refused. One of the elderly editors steps forward. Reputation providing authority. I can verify the authenticity of everything presented here. Elena Vincent was blacklisted for challenging. A powerful man for defending her work, for refusing to be silenced. The editor turns to the audience, to the young designers watching, eyes finding grace. Some of you create because you love fashion, others because you love status. The industry needs both, but only one moves design forward. Camilla. Russell remains on stage, trophy clutched too tightly, uncertain how to proceed. When the narrative has suddenly changed, when merit challenges connection, when truth disrupts power, her parents rise from their seats, move to protect their investment. Father's voice, cutting through tension. This is all very dramatic, but has no bearing on today's competition. The judges have made their decision, based on technical merit. Sylvester turns to him, patient, but unyielding. Did they? Or was the outcome determined before a single stitch was evaluated? He looks directly at Leo, the question hanging between them, the answer evident in Leo's silence. Lillian Turner attempts intervention, institution protecting itself, as institutions always do. Perhaps we should adjourn, continue this discussion privately, allow our guests to... But one of the industry photographers interrupts. Holds up her camera. I've documented everything. The designs, side by side, the evidence. Presented the historical witnesses. This story will be published, the threat clear, the momentum shifting. Whispered conversations growing louder. The protected facade cracking. Truth pushing through from the back of the room. William Hawkins watches. His role complete, justice unfolding. Not through confrontation, but through revelation. Grace stands in stunned silence. Letter in her hands, connecting her to the grandmother, who taught her first stitches, whose stories never included this stolen moment. This buried injustice. Leo Griffin attempts recovery, voice pitched for reasonableness, for professionalism. What happened to Elena was unfortunate, but fashion has always borrowed. Always inspired. Lines between influence and originality have always been blurred. Sylvester's response, immediate voice hardened by decades of witnessing similar justifications. There's a difference between inspiration and theft, between homage and stealing, between influence and erasure. You know the difference. You simply don't care. He turns to Grace, his voice gentling. Your grandmother couldn't fight them. The system was too strong, too closed, too protected. But times have changed. Truth finds its way forward. Even decades later, Grace finally finds her voice, quiet but clear. Carrying in the silent room. I never saw her designs, never knew this story, but I felt her guiding my hands. Every stitch, a connection I couldn't explain. She looks at the designs, side by side, the evidence undeniable, the legacy revealed. I thought I was creating something new, but I was remembering something stolen. Lillian Turner makes one final attempt to salvage institutional authority. This is all very moving, but doesn't change today's results. The judge's decision is final. One of the elderly editors laughs. Short and sharp is it? Or should we re-examine with knowledge now revealed, with designs shown, side by side, with merit as the only measure? The room shifts again, industry representatives recognizing the story forming before them, the narrative more valuable than the predetermined outcome. Cameras capturing every moment, careers made and broken. In this unexpected revelation, Leo Griffin abandons pretense. Self-preservation, his only concern. I had no knowledge of this connection, no awareness of Elena Vincent's granddaughter. My assessment was purely professional, the lie evident his earlier Targeting exposed, his deliberate cruelty revealed. As something more calculated than random elitism, Camilla's father intervenes again. Voice hardened with entitlement. My daughter won fairly, her work judged on merit. This emotional spectacle changes. Nothing. But even as he speaks, industry representatives approach Grace business cards, extended voices overlapping. Sudden recognition of overlooked talent, of marketable narrative, of opportunity disguised as justice. Your grandmother was before my time. But this story, this connection, it's extraordinary. Would you consider an apprenticeship with our design house, the technical skill combined with heritage? Very compelling. Grace accepts cards, mechanically, still processing the revelation. The connection. To her grandmother, the validation of her instincts, the sudden reversal of fortune. Across the room, Camilla stands abandoned, trophy in hand, victory hollow, her parents in heated discussion, with Lillian Turner, with Leo Griffin. Their carefully constructed, advantage crumbling before them. I want my donation returned. This embarrassment is unacceptable. Leo Griffin edges toward the exit. Reputation damaged, position threatened, years of similar favoritism. Suddenly vulnerable to exposure. The elderly editors confer with Sylvester, examining the preserved design, confirming authenticity, discussing implications. The ripple effect through fashion history. This changes the narrative about influence in that era, about who created the silhouette that defined. A decade, Grace's mother pushes through the crowd, reaches her daughter, eyes bright with unshed tears. She never told me about any of this. Just that fashion wasn't for people like us, that talent wasn't always enough. Grace unfolds the original design. Again, traces the familiar lines, the technique she somehow knew without being taught. She was protecting you from disappointment, from the barriers she faced. William Hawkins approaches, his quiet presence, parting the crowd, addresses Sylvester directly. Display case is ready, as you requested. Sylvester nods, turns to Grace and her mother. There's something you should see. He leads them from the main hall, away from the chaos, the recriminations, the opportunistic networking, down the academy's main corridor, to where a wall-mounted display case, previously empty now, holds something new. Elena Vincent's original design, mounted respectfully, alongside photographs, news clippings, and a simple plaque. Elena, Vincent innovator, silenced, vision endure. Grace stares at her grandmother's face, young and determined, the resemblance striking, the connection physical and creative. Why now? After all these years, Sylvester's expression softens, a rare smile emerging. I promised her someday. The truth would be known, that her work would be recognized. I just needed the right moment, the right proof. He gestures to Grace's creation, now hanging beside her grandmother's. The visual evidence undeniable. When I saw your design, it was like seeing her again. The same hand, the same eye, the same spirit. Her mother touches the glass gently, voice thick with emotion. She taught Grace her first stitches, gave her that ancient sewing machine, never mentioned any of this. Sylvester nods. Understanding, the protective silence. The pain, too deep to share. The fashion world broke her heart but couldn't break her spirit, couldn't stop her from passing along. What truly mattered, the skill, the vision, the voice. William Hawkins adjusts the lighting, illuminating both designs. Grandmother and granddaughter connected across decades, through fabric and thread, through blood and memory. Other students gather around, witnessing the unveiled history. The recognition long delayed, the justice finally served. Camilla approaches hesitantly. Trophy, no longer in hand, confusion evident in her expression. Did you really not know about your grandmother? Grace shakes her head. Just that she loved designing, that she stopped before I was born. Never knew why. Camila studies the designs, the undeniable connection, the talent that transcends generations, something beyond her own technical skill, beyond her family connections. It's really good. Your dress, I should have said that, instead of, she doesn't finish, doesn't name her cruelty, but the acknowledgement hangs between them, incomplete, but present. Lillian Turner joins them, professional mask firmly in place. Institution adapting as institutions do to changing narratives. The Academy would be honored to establish a scholarship in Elena Vincent's name, recognizing overlooked talent. The offer, transparent, damage control, not genuine remorse, but Grace accepts graciously, understanding the victory in this small concession. The elderly. Editors approach, eyes bright with purpose. We'd like to write the full story, set the historical record straight. Include both Vincent designs in the permanent collection. At the Fashion Institute, more industry representatives gather, networking instincts. Engaged, associating with the emerging narrative, the discovered talent, the historical connection, the marketable story of justice. I have connections at Vogue. This would make an excellent feature. My design house is expanding. We should discuss opportunities amidst. The suddenly supportive crowd. Grace feels a hand on her shoulder, turns to find Olivia Barnes, the student who almost showed kindness earlier in the showcase. I'm sorry for not standing up for you when they were being cruel. The apology, simple, genuine. Grace accepts with a nod, understanding courage is easier in victory than in struggle. Leo Griffin has disappeared, slipped away during the commotion, his judgment exposed as prejudice, his authority undermined by long-buried truth. The Academy will distance itself, issue carefully worded statements about creative integrity, about emerging talent, about institutional values, without acknowledging complicity. But something has changed, a small correction. In fashion's protected narrative, a recognition of one stolen voice, one silenced innovator, one buried truth. At the display case, Grace stands with her mother, with Sylvester Stallone, with William Hawkins, witnessing her grandmother's legacy, finally acknowledged, finally visible. This won't change. Everything won't dismantle entrenched systems, won't erase privilege, or create true meritocracy, but it's a start. A single thread pulled from fashion's carefully woven story, creating space for new narratives, new voices, new truths. Sylvester places the wooden box in Grace's hands, its contents now hers, the evidence, the history, the connection to her grandmother. Keep this, remember where you come from, what you're capable of, what you've already overcome. She accepts the gift, understands its value. Beyond industry connections, beyond sudden recognition, the truth of her heritage, the legacy in her hands. In the main hall, the showcase concludes, differently than planned, awards reconsidered, opportunities redistributed, merit challenging connection. For one brief moment, photographers capture everything, the side-by-side designs, the historical witnesses, the newly established display, the story spreading beyond Academy walls. Truth finding its audience. After decades of silence, Grace's dress returns to its garment bag, its purpose fulfilled, beyond competition, beyond validation. It has connected her to her grandmother, revealed her inheritance, not of status or wealth, but of vision, of voice, of creative courage. And in the quiet aftermath, as crowds disperse, as opportunities crystallize, as justice settles into recognition, Grace stands before her grandmother's design, fingers tracing the glass, whispering a promise. I'll continue what you began. I'll create with your courage. I'll speak with your Voice, I won't let them silence me, I won't let them silence you. Again, 6 months later, Highland Academy hosts its annual alumni celebration, the main corridor transformed by a new permanent installation, the Vincent Legacy Innovation Through Generations Elena's original design, now properly credited in fashion, history, textbooks revised, attributions corrected, influence acknowledged beside it. Grace's showcase creation, the connection undeniable, the lineage visible. In every thoughtful detail, Sylvester Stallone stands nearby, watching students study the display, his decades-long promise fulfilled, truth finally revealed, justice imperfect but present. William Hawkins polishes glass nearby, his quiet vigilance continuing, his observation unceasing, his role in uncovering truth. Known to few, valued by those who matter. The fashion industry's response, predictably complex, some embracing the narrative of discovered legacy, of corrected attribution, others minimizing significance, protecting established hierarchies. The system bending slightly without breaking. Leo Griffin resigned his position, accepted a role overseas, distancing himself from controversy, from evidence of his bias, his deliberate cruelty. Lillian Turner remains director, institution protecting itself, as institutions do, her public statements emphasizing the Academy's commitment to talent, to opportunity, to merit, without acknowledging previous failures, but small changes emerge. Scholarship students treated differently, their work evaluated more carefully, their voices heard more clearly. Fear of similar exposure. Creating minimal accountability, Camilla Russell accepted internship. With prestigious design house, her talent real, despite her advantages, her experience at the showcase, leaving subtle marks, questions about merit, about fairness, about who belongs and why. In a small studio downtown, Grace Vincent works surrounded by fabric, by sketches, by possibility. Her grandmother's sewing machine, now understood as more than heirloom, a vessel of inherited vision, of persistent creativity, of resilience passed through generations. The wooden box sits open nearby, its contents informing her work, connecting her to the past. While she creates the future, the elderly editors visit occasionally, recording her grandmother's stories, filling gaps in fashion history, correcting the narrative. One article, one interview, one revelation. At a time, industry opportunities emerged from showcase controversy, some genuine, some exploitative. Grace choosing carefully, protecting her voice, her vision, her integrity. What would you do if the system designed to judge you was built to exclude you? Would you abandon your dream, conform to their expectations, fight from within, create your own path? Grace chose the hardest option, remaining authentically herself, creating without compromise, standing in her truth. Even when it stood alone, her first collection debuts next month, small but significant, funded by believers, by witnesses, by those who recognize true innovation, true voice, true vision. The invitation, designed by Olivia Barnes. Now collaborator, their friendship built slowly on shared values, on lessons learned, on accountability accepted. The guest list includes William Hawkins, whose quiet observation changed everything, whose recognition of injustice led to revelation. Sylvester Stallone will attend, his decades of waiting finally rewarded, his promise to Eleanor fulfilled, her legacy secured, not just in museum displays, but in her granddaughter's hands. In her continued vision, Grace's mother helps with final preparations, their shared pride evident in quiet moments, in knowing glances, in the understanding that talent without opportunity remains invisible. But talent with courage, with persistence, with truth, eventually finds its light. The fashion world hasn't transformed. The advantages remain for the connected, the wealthy, the privileged. The system protecting itself, as systems do, but small spaces open cracks in the foundation, where new voices emerge, where merit challenges connection, where truth challenges power, where legacy continues. Despite attempts to silence it, at Highland Academy, new students gather before the Vincent display, reading the story of stolen designs, of silenced innovation, of justice delayed but delivered, of talent transmitted through generations. They see different possibilities, different paths, different definitions of success, beyond connection, beyond privilege, beyond predetermined outcomes, and grace. Vincent continues creating, each stitch connecting her to her grandmother's hands, to her inherited vision, to her rightful place in fashion's complex tapestry, not as exception, not as token, but as innovator, as truth-teller. As legacy continued, what would you do if your voice was silenced? Would you find another way to speak, another way to create, another way to leave? Your mark? Elena Vincent's designs were stolen, her career destroyed, her innovation credited to others. But her vision continued, through her hands, through her teaching, through her granddaughter, through truth, finally revealed, the thread connecting. Them never broken, only hidden, now visible for all to see. A reminder that talent persists, that vision endures, that truth eventually emerges, that legacy continues, through unexpected paths, through generations, through courage that refuses to be silenced. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe.